This video is sponsored by Squarespace, offering a wide variety of beautiful website templates to help you brand your business. This is the iPhone 7 Plus. It's still being used by a lot of people today. This thing came out in 2016 with iOS 10, and this was Apple's first ever smartphone to feature dual cameras, of course, the wide angle and telephoto lens, in what came at a price tag of $769 at the time. It also came with 3 storage options, of course, 32, 64, and 128 gigabytes, and it's been nearly 6 years since the release of this phone. We're going to see if it's still worth it today. Now, the first thing to address is the price point. In 2022, you can pick up a used 7 Plus on eBay for around $140 or more, depending on the storage capacity. But let's keep this price point in mind, it's going to be more important later on in this video. Now, the second thing to address is the battery. The 7 Plus had a fairly decent battery from my personal experience of owning one of these back in 2017, but keep in mind, back then this phone was running iOS 10, and so the battery was optimized to run on this particular iOS version. But if you're picking one up today, just know that your battery is not going to perform that well. This one that I have here has 74% battery health, which is pretty bad, and so performance will definitely vary based on usage and iOS version that you're on. This one in particular is on iOS 13 at the moment, so just gives you guys an idea. And the most obvious benefit of the 7 Plus is its larger 5.5-inch display. You can really take advantage of this when you're simply watching a YouTube video or using this as your everyday device to browse social media. It's pretty much every other iPhone with the exception of having 2 cameras and of course Touch ID, which was a nice feature, especially on this Plus model. This was kind of considered like the top of the line iPhone, which is cool to see. And of course, the question that all of you guys are wondering is this thing still usable today? And in my opinion, the 7 Plus is still very much usable. It can still run apps. It supports up to iOS 15 and really isn't all that expensive to get started in the Apple ecosystem. But do keep in mind that this phone did not receive the iOS 16 update, but this doesn't necessarily mean that the security on this device is outdated. Apple will still periodically push out security updates to iOS 15 over the next couple years. And to give you guys an idea, the 2014 iPhone 6, which only supports iOS 12, that came out in 2019 is still receiving security updates to this day. But of course, a downside to this is that app developers could eventually set minimum iOS requirements, rendering this device unusable with certain apps. This will most likely affect banking apps first, followed by more mainstream social media applications. And now, who is this phone really for? The question you're probably wondering. I would say that this device is really going to target 2 sets of consumers. The first are budget smartphone users who are either looking to simply purchase the cheapest possible iPhone with reasonable specs or get into the iPhone ecosystem for the first time on a budget, and the 7 Plus is priced pretty reasonably for that. The second set of people are collectors like myself who are looking to grow their collection, but if you're really looking to collect an iPhone 7 or 7 Plus, you definitely want to make sure it's on iOS 10 before you pick one up. And if you're someone out there who's looking to start an online business such as selling iPhones just like these, you'll definitely want to check out Squarespace. They have a selection of beautiful templates that you can use to make your online business pop out. This right here is the Allmar template. I gave this website a nice dark theme using the background image editor and also added some iPhone photos from their free image gallery. I was also able to create an online store by using the commerce setting. You can select the product, choose your desired images, and how you want to receive payments. And once it's published, it appears on the store and is ready to be sold. And to top it off, you can also register a custom domain through Squarespace. This makes branding your website so much easier. You can get started with your website by heading to squarespace.com for a free trial. And once you guys are ready to launch your dream website, head to squarespace.com/iClassic to get 10% off a purchase of a website or domain. So, the 7 Plus, even though it has this larger display, still offers Touch ID and can technically be jailbroken using the Checkmate jailbreak. There are still a lot of things that you guys need to watch out for. Firstly, like you may need to eventually swap out the battery in this thing. Apple still offers a battery replacement, which comes at a cost of $50, or of course you could try doing it yourself. But either way, you'll be adding on to the price of the phone, and at $190 plus maybe $10 for a case, and another $10 for a screen protector, the price of this phone starts to add up pretty quickly, even in 2022. And at this point, you may just want to start looking at alternatives like an iPhone SE 2020. It has the updated A13 Bionic chip, still runs iOS 16, and offers wireless charging. However, the display is smaller, battery life is going to be slightly worse, and you're not going to have the dual camera experience, which I think for the majority of people shouldn't really be a deal breaker at this price point. And my final conclusion of the 7 Plus really is I would only recommend this phone if you're either buying it for an Apple collection or if you plan to use this device with very minimal use or applications such as basic social media browsing or taking occasional calls or photos here and there, keeping in mind that you may need to eventually replace the battery on this device one day. Alternatively, you could just go for an iPhone SE 2020 like I recommended, or another phone that I absolutely love, the iPhone 11. I actually worked at a company recently that gave out iPhone 11s as work phones, and using this thing even on iOS 15 at the time offered an incredible experience with decent battery life. Granted, this was a brand new phone outside of the box, and so the battery was pretty much new, but even on iOS 15, it worked perfectly fine. And a brand new iPhone 11, of course, is no longer sold by Apple, but occasionally refurbished models do tend to pop up on the Apple's refurbished website from time to time. So it was a good idea to, check out this website every now and then. Ultimately, whichever phone you do end up choosing, consider checking out Apple's refurbished website or marketplace like Facebook Marketplace. eBay is also a great place to find, but sellers on eBay do tend to sell these devices for quite a bit sometimes, so just something to keep in mind. But yeah, the 7 Plus was an amazing device at the time. I really think the 7 Plus was perfect on iOS 10. But iOS 10 is no longer supported and app support is limited. And if you're planning to use this phone for the long term, you'd probably want more security on this device. And in case you guys are wondering, I actually do have an iPhone 7 coming in a couple days. This is actually on iOS 10 as well. I'll definitely be making more videos on this very soon. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, figure out what you guys are looking for the most in an iPhone. And if your usage tends to be light and you don't really plan on using this phone with too many apps, the 7 Plus is fine, but I would personally go for an SE 2020 or an iPhone 11. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll be making more content in the coming weeks. Catch you guys on the next one.